Uh-oh, this might be better.
You know what? This might be better.
It is.
Okay. So now I know to I had to go into my network settings and reset all that stuff there. And so far I've been on it,
Oh,
hadn't buffered anything. So yeah,
okay.
wow. So it's doing better. Good.
Yeah.
I'm just man, seriously. Okay, so back to the story.
Okay.
Now, in 1985, I was still at New Faith Baptist Church,
Okay.
so I know I was still living at the house then. The reason why I'm starting with that is because you know Wayne, right?
Right, right.
He had kicked me out the choir. I don't know why I remember that, but for some reason he kicked me out the choir. And so that was in '85. And so uh what happened then? So somewhere along the line, I think I had got a hold of the Roots book, Alice Haley's Roots.
Mhm.
And I remember reading it. And I was still at the house then. I was still living at the house then. And I read it and I was like, wow. After I had got finished reading the book, because we had already saw the series. We saw the series when
Okay.
it first came out in '77.
Yeah.
So you was little then. Because I was 12 years old then, and then I think I saw the series one other time I remember, and it was crazy when it came on the second time, and me and Dad got into a fight, a literal fight watching the series. It was crazy, and so anyway, after I read the book, I was like, man, I got so much out of reading a book. I had seen where like a few things that I had got out of it was about how well they showed this in the TV show, but they showed how the men were circumcised.
Mhm.
But they showed that in the TV show, but they showed a lot of other stuff. They show how the in the book they show how the wives were separated from their husbands when they were unclean.
Mhm.
And they was unclean for like 7 days or something like that. They when they was on their menstrual, they were not with the husband. I'm like, man. And then of course, back there, they didn't eat pork and stuff like that. So it was a few other things that I got out of the book that I didn't get from watching the show.
Mhm.
So after I had finished that book, I was like, man, I don't believe nothing no more. I can't go back to church no more. I got to find out what's going on. So one of the things that I realized that our ancestors, most of our ancestors were Muslim when we came over here. Like Kunta Kinte and all them, they were practicing Islam when they came over here. So I'm like,
Right.
man, I say Islam, that I need to study that. I need to get into that. So I remember I had went to the mosque over there on Stony Island. I went there a
Uh,
couple of times. And then I had a good
you were
friend of
still living
mine.
in the house?
Oh, yeah, I sure was.
Did
I
they
did,
know that's where you went?
I did, huh?
Did
Huh?
they know that's where you went?
No, no, I didn't have no conversation with nobody that I can remember. But and the only reason why I know it because it was '87 when I moved out. That's when I had got my first little apartment in '87. So that's why I know it was still like '85. And I had got a, I remember I had got a new car in '88 too. That Dad actually co-signed for me a car, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that. I was still, matter of fact, I was still living in the house then. It was an '88 Cavalier that I had got. Y'all
Come
probably
in here
don't
and
even
get this
remember that,
stuff
but I
while
had.
you going out that door. Close the door then.
So anyway, Uh,
Victor, the volume went down.
the volume went
I
down?
think it went down when my daughter called.
Okay. But it's
So I'm gonna
back
go out
now?
and come back in.
Okay. Uh, it's still down?
Yeah, she called and then it went.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, you went off the camera, so I don't know what happened. I think my connection is still pretty decent though. It's a lot better. Mm, okay, hopefully. Oh, there she go. There she go. Right in the nick of time, man. 'Cause I was just about to sing y'all a song. Y'all, uh-oh, she's off again. She probably's like, let me hear him sing the song. Eh? Mm.
Okay,
Okay, how
I
about it?
can hear you. Yeah, I can hear
Right.
you.
Okay, okay. I like that top you got on. I think Tommy got one similar to that.
I told you that sister told me I'm honoring Horace when I wear these.
Right, right. That's
Hold it back there.
foolishness.
Hold on, I have nails. I'm trying. I don't care. Don't drop it. Yeah, she told me I shouldn't be wearing this because I'm honoring Horace. I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
You was that
right.
quick, man? Where she at?
Out there in the car. Tell her don't call me. I'll call her. I'm on live. Whew. Let me lock her out so she won't come running back.
Now you in Rantoul, right?
Yeah,
Man, what's that weather there today?
it's cold, wet, and trying to freeze up.
Man, I don't see how you don't miss San Antonio though. Woo wee. Man,
Delonte, you finna come up here? Oh, okay. I'm finna cut her TV and light off. Cause she got everything gone in here and she gone. Okay. Ooh. All right, I'm done.
yeah, we had about 83 here today.
Oh wow. That's nice weather. That's good weather.
Yep, yep, man. It's gonna be cooler next week though, but man, today was a good day. Um, anyway, so look, so what happened was after I had read the book and then I had visited the mosque a couple of times, then I had to research Islam outside of going to the mosque. That's the thing that people do. When people join different organizations, they
Uh-huh.
they don't research outside of that organization. And so I could have easily been Islamic if I would have just stayed there and not researched outside of the organization. From there, I learned that you always have to do your own research, regardless of what everybody else say. You got to do your research. So,
Ain't
they
you finna go
whole
behind?
mantra has always
Yeah, put
been.
this in the refrigerator.
Oh,
Do not come back outside either. until I call you.
Oh.
Girl, shut up. Okay, Victor. Ooh, she get on my nerves. That
Okay.
13-year-old work my
Yeah.
nerves.
That was her I was looking
Ooh.
at just not earlier.
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that's your baby then.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, because they had always said that Islam is a black man's religion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing that they always preach to people to separate us from Christianity. And when you don't research it, then you can easily accept that, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
after we roots, I'm like, damn, well, there it is, because they were definitely Islamic when they got off the boat. So I like, you know what, I don't believe in nothing now. I need to research this. But then when you open up the book and like the encyclopedias or whatever and research Islam, you will find out that we were forced into that religion.
Oh.
That it didn't originate from us. That when Muhammad had started building his religion of Islam, he went into Africa, starting with Egypt, and from there, Egypt, Libya, all that North Africa, all that mass converted them under the sword. So that's how we became Islamic, by force, not because it originated from us. So I said, okay, well, that ain't it then. So then I picked up the Bible again, and I read it from Genesis to Revelation. I'm still at the house,
Mm-hmm.
Read it from Genesis to Revelation. I was like, oh man. And as I got finished reading, I was like, man, I learned so much stuff on my own. Main thing I discovered was about the law and about the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, and about the sanctified diet. A lot of people call it the dietary law. I don't like that term. I like calling it the sanctified diet, because he said that our diet is sanctified. But anyway,
Right.
also, I like using that term because Christians like that term sanctified. I'm like, well, when you open up the Bible, just about every time you see that word sanctified, it's related to the diet. It is. When you turn to Leviticus 11, that word sanctified is right there. When you turn to Deuteronomy 14, the word sanctified is right there. When you read even Isaiah 66, it said, them that sanctify themselves eating swine's flesh, I'm like,
Right.
so if you want to know what sanctification is, you can't be sanctified if you still eating pork and
Right.
shrimp and all that. So anyway, but I got all that from reading the Bible. Like, damn. And so after I finished reading the Bible, I was like, man, that was deep. So, and I still remember I'm living at the house, because every Sunday night I would go out on Sunday night, and I would go to the club on
Uh-huh.
79th and Halsted, 78th and Halsted. It was at that time, it used to be called the Godfather, but then it was called the Illusion on 78th and Halsted. And so I didn't like going out Friday night, Saturday night. I don't know why. But Sunday night, I love to go out on Sunday night. So I went there. So I went there this one particular night. Went there, and who would be at the club? Brother lived right down the street from the club, and that was Wayne.
Uh-huh.
So Wayne was like, hey, what's going on, bro? I said, hey, man, what's going on, man? Been a long time. This is 1987. This is 1987 now. And so he said, you still go to New Faith? I said, no, man, I don't go to New Faith no more, man. I've been doing my studying, man. I found out all that stuff is fake. I don't go there no
Mm.
more. And he's like, oh, really? I said, yeah. And so what kind of stuff you been learning? I say, man, I done found out about the law. I done found out about the Saturday. I done found about and I think we might be the chosen people because everything I read in there line up with that. And what happened is that we went to our cars and we pulled out the word and we went right back in the club. The music is loud, jacking, and we at the table having a Bible study. And he was like, man, wow, man. He said, you know what, man, that's deep that you found all that. Cause I go to a Bible class, it's a little small Bible class or whatever on the east side, up on 75th. And you should come check it out, man. A lot of stuff that you saying, there's a lot of stuff that they saying and everything. I'm like, really? I said, okay. Because I remember at that time, I was thinking about maybe checking out the 7-Day Adventist. I remember thinking that. Because I didn't know where to go. So he said, man, yeah, I've been going to this Bible class up on 75th and Essex. I'm like, okay, I'll check them out then. So obviously that was the Israel of God. And this is 87, so they had been around no more than probably 2 years, because they used to have a spot on 75th, but it was like closer to like King Drive or something like that. It was like a storefront. And they had just moved to the one on 75th and Essex. You've been there before, right? That's the one you used to go to, right?
Right.
Okay. So I remember I went there, and the very first class, oh, did I lose you? Oh, I didn't lose you, okay.
And I'm going down here to lock my door. They gone.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be upstairs.
The very
and
first
somebody
class that I was there, that Bowie taught was Black history, no, not Black history, world history foretold by the prophets.
Okay.
That was the lesson, world history foretold by the prophets. So I remember sitting there, it's my first lesson that I'm hearing them. And then I remember that when I read the Bible straight through, I remember specifically how I had went through the book of Daniel. But then when they started talking about the horns, and the horns was with the lion and the goat and all that, and I was like, I ain't quite understanding that, so I kind of skipped over it a little bit. So now I'm sitting here listening to the lesson, and then we're reading the very thing, probably the only thing in the whole entire Bible that I kind of breezed over a little bit, because I just don't like that whole symbolic stuff, but so I kind of skipped over it. And he was like, the he-goat, that represents the Greek Empire, and the ram represents the Medo-Persian. I'm sitting there, how he know that? How he know that that's what it is? And then, but when you keep reading, it tells you just that. So I must didn't keep reading when I was studying on my own. But through the lesson, I was able to finally see what it was. I was like, damn, that was deep. And so from then, this is 87. And so then I started going to the class. And so I was going to the class, and then let's see what happened. So me and Wayne, we started hanging out a little bit more, right? We was hanging out a lot more going there than we did at New Faith. We wasn't even hardly friends at New Faith. And so one day we were like, for some reason we wanted to go see what was going on at what they was talking about at Liberty Temple. You remember Liberty Temple? Liberty Temple is on 79th and near Western. And they used to have a TV show called The Awakening on cable.
I do remember that show.
Right, because it was like a TV show.
Yeah.
And it started a little light-skinned girl named Marquita. She was the main star of the show. They all went to Liberty. They all went to Liberty Temple, and the funny thing about that was that my brother named his daughter Marquita because of that character on the show. So me and Wayne said, "Man, let's go see what the pastor Clifford Turner. Let's go over there and see what they talking about." That's what we were doing, man. We just thought we'd start visiting different churches and see if we can say something to them, you know, to try to, you know, teach them a little bit of something. So that was the first one we went to. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, when I was really part of New Faith, and you know, we would go to churches on Sunday evening, singing in a choir at different churches. And for me, it's like, for me, I'm like, I want to see what the women look like, what the women like at this church every day. And so I'm like, this is the very first time ever that I actually visit a church and not be concerned with what the women look like. I'm really trying to hear what this man is teaching. I've never experienced that before. All the time we would do,
I said, okay.
Right.
You start
So
listening. That's how it was when I started going to IOG. I started listening to Brother Bowie, and I would go to church. I still hadn't left my Sunday church. So I would do the Sabbath with IOG, and then I had to go to church on Sunday. It just wasn't working no more. I would pray about it. I'm like, Lord, I don't know what to do here. I said, I'm sure you led me here for a reason.
Right.
I said, but then when I come over here back on Sunday, it just felt so like, man, you was seeing it like for what it was. It was so fake.
Right.
I mean, it was like you and the people that you knew for years start feeling like strangers. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, hold up. Now you just okay. So when you say that, I'm thinking about that being my experience at New Faith. That was my experience there because mom and dad they were still alive then, and I had moved. I moved into my first apartment, and I remember when I had went back there. I went back there, and I went there to pick up mom to pick her up. And I don't know if I was driving, if I went, because we would walk a lot to the church, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was walking or if I picked up. Anyway, I remember I came in there, and I came in there, and people were looking at me like I was a drug dealer. They weren't looking at me like I was a drug dealer. They were looking at me like I was a drug fiend. like I came there to see mom and see if mom had a couple of dollars that she could give me, that she could borrow. That's what they were looking at me like. And I remember Mother Randolph. If you remember Mother Randolph, you know, this lady was like the definition of sweet, right? She was like a lady that you could not imagine saying a bad word to anybody. Man, this lady looked at me. She said, she had a scowl on her face. She said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." And she said, "Oh, I bet you is," or something like that. I'm like, whoa, I couldn't believe it. I had never saw this thing on her like that. And I'm like, I just came here, you know, pick up my mom, whatever, to pick up, whatever. They were looking at me like, man, like I just came out of rehab or something. It was crazy.
Okay.
And so I'll never forget that. But but going back to me and Wayne, we had went to the and then when we came back to IOG, we was telling the brothers that we knew, you know, that we was kicking it with, we was telling them about what happened. We went to Liberty Temple and what Clifford Turner was talking about, how he was, you know, talking crazy. And I forgot exactly what happened there, but we was telling them about it. And then I remember brother, what's his name? Brother, oh man. How did I forget the? I'm looking there. Oh, brother Ezekiel. I'm sorry. It was a brother
Oh,
named
okay.
Ezekiel. He wasn't there. I think he was gone by the time you got there. But brother Ezekiel, then when he heard me and Wayne talking about it, then that's when they formed the evangelist committee. So me and Wayne, we were the two that started the evangelist committee at IOG. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we would do as evangelists. We would go out to try to go out to different churches or whatever. See if we go to their Sunday school or weekly Bible study, whatever. And man, we went to just about every church you can imagine there on South Side, West Side, wherever. And so, and then also I would on Sundays I usually go up to 95th and to the train station on 95th, and I'd be up there. And that's when I started learning a whole lot just by being out there in the street dealing with people. It's a little bit
Okay.
different from when you just going to class and that's it. When you out there with people, it's like you really, really can see how to deal with people. And I learned so much just by doing that. It was crazy. And some brothers want to come out there and they want to come out there and be loud and read loud like the way a lot of these other Hebrew Israelites be doing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. And
What's
see, huh?
I was thinking about that one with the purple on.
Yeah, IUIC.
IUCI.
And see, that's the funny part about that, Chad. I'm glad you mentioned that. Those groups did not even exist when we were doing what we were doing. They weren't even in existence yet when we were doing what we were doing. And so, but I tell the brothers, I'm like, look, no, we're not gonna do that. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna be out here, because I would be there every Friday night, and what we'll do, we're gonna read among ourselves. We're not gonna be loud and having our voice loud and all that. We're just gonna be there, and we're gonna have our Bibles open. We're gonna be reading, and whoever that the Father would draw toward us, that's who we'll be dealing with. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that was good or bad, but that was just what was put on me to do. Cause I figured
Right.
that the Father was gonna draw whoever He's gonna draw if we be there looking like we're decent and in order and not looking like we just some, crazy looking people. Because for me, I try to look at it from the standpoint of a person that don't know anything.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we don't know how to do that. But I'm always conscious of that because I kind of always see it from that aspect. So anyway, it was pretty cool. So the evangelist grew from that or whatever. And then it would be in 1993. And I had been in it now since what, for 7 years now, about 6 or 7 years now. And
Mm-hmm.
93, I remember we was watching TV and we was watching a Jerry Springer show. And he had the Israelites on. And that's when the Jerry Springer show was still in Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm looking at that, and then we started calling everybody like, man, y'all see these cats on here? They Israelites? And where these cats come from? I remember we were thinking that, I ain't gonna say we, I was thinking that Jerry Springer created this group that come on here, call themselves Hebrew Israelites, were dressed in these clothes, cursing people out and doing this. So nobody in Chicago ever seen these cats before ever. They had just came out. Jerry Springer somehow found them, and here they go doing this thing. We like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. So that the TV show had not even came out yet. Oh, hey Eric, look now this Eric you see on here, Eric Jackson. He'll tell you he old school too. I remember when
Okay.
Eric came to ILG. He's part of the evangelist committee too. Uh,
Oh, okay.
he was talking about reading among ourselves. Yeah, Eric, I used to tell him to do that because brother Ezekiel and them, they be wanting to be loud and be reading and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to have us brothers have this book open right there And when the father would draw, whoever he want to draw over there, you know, and that's just how I was. I just didn't like that loud,
Right, right.
whatever. But
Because if people
man,
see you
so
reading the Bible and they hear y'all talking, you know they gonna come over.
exactly.
Everybody got their opinion.
Right, right. And then it's just a better look, you know, because now, you know, you're able to reach people. To me, that's how I see it. You're
Right,
able to reach people. Oh, hey,
right.
shalom, Pat. Wow, let's see that what she said. I did. I went into the streets alone, right? And then what? I would just sit on she's in Manhattan, talk one on one, right? That to me, it just seemed more decent and in order than just be out there being an annoyance. Cause see,
Right, right.
I think that's just who I am. Cause I remember like when I be riding the train, and when somebody get on the train and they be loud, I don't care what they saying. I used to find that so annoying that you would be disrupting the whole train with whatever it is you talking about, whatever. I hated that. So I'm like, I'm just not
Hmm.
gonna be that person. I ain't gonna be out here doing that. I think it's
Right.
enough that we out here with our books open and we having a dialogue and the father gonna draw whoever he needs to draw, and that'll be that. So so yeah, so that's what happened in 93. 93 that happened and everything. And so I think it would be another year before the Bible Speaks would come out. So the Bible Speaks
Okay.
TV show came out. And then so we're doing the cable show. And then we started picking up a few other cities. I think the first city, what was the first city we picked up? Was it Memphis? I think Memphis was the first city outside of Chicago. Was Memphis. Then there was Buffalo. It was Minneapolis. So that's the three. Then finally it was Atlanta. That was the order that it
Uh-huh.
came out in. Memphis, Buffalo, and so we would have different committees, different brothers that would lead a group to go every Shabbat to one of these cities to teach the word. And whenever a brother, a team wasn't there, the people in those cities they would just wire in the class from Chicago or whatever. And so I done went out with everybody that had a crew. I done went out. I usually was Brother Elijah. This Brother Elijah,
Hmm.
Israel, the Church of Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the crew I was on. I went out with on everybody crew. Brother Andrew went out with him a couple of times. There was a brother named Brother Shem. Went out with him a couple of times. I think I went out with Brother what's his name? Jerry. I forgot. I'm looking dead at his face. I can't remember his name. Tall, real tall brother. Brother, I know he is he was a CTA bus driver. He probably retired by now. You know, it's Korean.
Brother, Jermaine, what's his name? Jermaine? No. What
It's,
is that brother name?
yeah, this brother he's kind of tall. He got a little height on
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
him. I think we
He
talking
kind of
about how his,
brown skinned it.
huh?
Jeremiah.
Was that Jeremiah? It may be Jeremiah. Oh,
Yep,
the friends. That's what he said. The friend. Yeah, that man, Eric. I forgot. I
Oh,
think that's yeah. That was him. Wow. I know his wife was
okay.
named Eve. His wife was named Eve, I believe. I think she passed. I'm not sure. I think Eve passed. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, but that was the friends. Yeah. Wow. Man, good brother. But hey, Tom, are you watching? Yeah, I'm doing a little my own little history lesson with my sister here. With my sister here. Um, yeah, but man, we had some good time. I used to love Buffalo was the one I really loved going to for some reason. I love going to Buffalo. That was my spot. So anyway, so this is the kind of thing that happened with me was that I had started working for this medical transportation service out in Elmhurst on the west side. and
Mm-hmm.
sometime I would have to work on Shabbat, and so I would try to get off as soon as I can and make it to class. But this one Shabbat, I didn't. I was a little bit too late, and it just so happened that Brother Jeremiah's his wife Eve, she had a sister, and her sister was part of another class on the west side. And I actually knew these brothers from the west side. This brother, he went by the name at that time. His name was Nariah. It was because they had a cable TV show too, Nariah, and he was always with a brother named Nehemiah. They both had a cable show, and we would get on WVON all the time, calling in on WVON talk show, sharing some
Mm-hmm.
words there. And so, I was friends with these guys. I had never met them at this point, never met them. But
Okay.
I remember where their congregation was. So I had went, this is 1996. And so when
Uh-huh.
I got off work, instead of coming out south, I visited their congregation. So I went to their congregation. I sat down. I had never visited their congregation before then. And the brother was teaching the class. The brothers that I came to see, they wasn't there that day. I found out that they had went over to Israel. They went over to Israel. I'm like, damn, they went over to Israel? That was deep to me. And so I sat there, and then they used the Hebrew names of YAH and Yahshua. They used those names. And so after class, I had came out to class, and brother came up to me like, "Hey man, how you doing, man? How you like?" I said, "Yeah, the class was cool, man. The class was pretty cool, you know." And I noticed that y'all use Yah and Yahshua there, and but other than that, it was cool. You know, I don't use Yah Yahshua because I speak English. And the brother's like, bro, he like, uh, Jesus ain't even English. I like, what? I'm like, whoa. And I had never heard nobody say that to me before. And I didn't have an answer for him when he said that because I had never heard. I'm like, man, what? Because I had told him, I said, I speak English, so I call him Jesus. He said, Jesus ain't even English. I'm like, man. Oh, yeah, I say, okay. So if I wanted to use the English transliteration of Yahshua, what would I use? He said, well, if you had to use English transliteration, the closest thing would be Joshua. Joshua is actually the more accurate English than Jesus, which is really Greek. It's not even. I'm like, man. And so from then, I went home. I started a little studying that, but I was still going to the Israel of God. Yeah, I'm still going there then. So I just started studying whatever. And so then in 97, in 1997, we would have what you call brotherhood meetings. You ever heard that
Mm-hmm.
before?
Yeah.
Right. We would say we're gonna have a brotherhood meeting. And so I remember in 97 went to the one brotherhood meeting. And what was happening was is that some of the elder brothers there, they were trying to be relocated to these camps that Israel God had set up, and they wanted to be like the permanent teachers there instead of having the crews going out to these every so often or whatever. They like, no, they should have a permanent teacher, so we should be there like that. And so that's what the brotherhood meeting was about. I'll never forget this. And so I call him Hank. I don't call him Goo because that's what a lot of old schools say. Hey, so he got up there, and I remember he said, what did he say? He says, look, y'all want to go and be set up in these camps and everything, but I ain't sending no rookies nowhere. I'm not gonna do it. That's just not gonna happen. We're gonna keep doing it like this or whatever. And I looked out like, wow. I'm looking at all these old heads sitting there listening to him, brother Micah, brother Mike Jones, all these old head cats, Andrew, all them, and they sit there listening to him telling them that. And I'm like, now that right there ain't cool at all. That ain't cool that you call these guys, all these guys rookies, and ain't nobody's worthy to go to Minnesota and all these places to teach regularly there. And I always thought it was crazy that you would go to some of these classes and then you hearing a loudspeaker of a brother somewhere else teaching. I'm like, that's not a good look either. When people come to these classes, that make them look like they're a cult instead of somebody they're teaching. You know, the look just didn't look good. So anyway, and that's when Brother Elijah, he was like, all right, I'm finna start our class in Gary, Indiana. And that's what he did. So Elijah with Brother Sham and me, I was the third person. I wasn't teaching. I wasn't no teacher at that time. We decided to go ahead and set up Israel, the Church of Jesus in Gary, Indiana. And I had, how many babies did I have? I think I had 3 at that time. Three of my girls, they were born at that time. Yeah, because I was living on the east side at that time. I was living right by Israel of God, like a block away from Israel of God. But anyway, we actually relocated to Gary, Indiana. Do you remember when I was living in Gary? You don't remember when I was living in Gary? You ain't know where I was living at, did you?
No, I told you I don't even remember you leaving.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, that was 97, and we went on ahead and rented a house out in Gary, Indiana. And I remember a lot of the brothers had helped me go out there as terms of help me move and everything. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you who helped me move out there. You know them as the sons of Jacob.
The who?
The sons of Jacob.
Who was that?
The rap group that you be posting, the rap group.
Oh, okay. The people I said I like.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I don't know him by name. I just heard that song that Brother Elijah was playing, and I posted it, and you said that you knew them. They was all from IOG.
Oh, yeah. We was all there at that time. Yep. Brother Moshe, Brother Rayuben, and Brother Judah. Matter of fact, Brother Judah, he named his son Josiah. Matter of fact, it was a couple of brothers there at the class had named their son literally after me, after Josiah. Yeah, so I remember they had helped me move out to Gary, Indiana, and stuff. Man, matter of fact, we were living on 63rd Street before we moved out there. We were living on 63rd in Michigan. That big white building off of 63rd Street.
Mm-hmm.
You know that building? You would kind of see it from the expressway on 63rd Street. It's a big white building. It's the hood. We were living there. And we ended up going out to Gary, Indiana. People are like, why are you going all the way out to Gary, Indiana? Man, it's bad out there. I'm like, bad? You hear gunshots every night, right here on 63rd Street. You gonna tell me how bad it is out there? But you know that we always liked the Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. Look forward to going.
Yeah, we grew up going, so that was always our impression of Gary, Indiana. We never saw Gary, Indiana as bad.
Right. Everybody had nice lawn.
Yeah.
They had the globe street lights. I'm like, oh wow.
And every single person that we
house was nice.
Right. And everybody was nice.
Yeah, sure was.
We're like, I don't know what happened to our dad, boy, but
right. Dad, why you can't act like him? Dad. And they get to Gary and they be on their best behavior. I'm like, dang.
Right.
We get that they on their best behavior. Who is them people?
Right. We like, man. like, man, we got Uncle Jack, Uncle Roosevelt, Uncle
Yeah.
R.D., man, all these, they nice.
Yeah. They said, let them kids play. Let them kids play. Y'all
Right,
come on in here and play.
right, right.
Uh,
Oh, man.
they were
My
nice
whole
people.
life I was wishing I could have grew up in out there in Gary, Indiana, man. That's how we knew Gary, Indiana. So, you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then
And it took, it seemed
here's
like
a
it
fun.
took us forever to get there.
Right, right,
When I
right.
went to Brother Elijah's class, it was around the corner. I'm like, Dad, we already here. Where
Yeah,
was we going then? Dad was taking the long way.
right. Now, and that class that you had went to, because I had never even been to that building before, because we was in a storefront on Broadway. On
Oh,
Broadway.
okay.
So about time that he went into that big building, but you remember cousin Prim, the Prims?
Yep. Yep.
That's right around the corner from where they live at.
And it seemed like it took us forever to get there.
Right. But that building is right around the corner from where they live, where their house is still at today. That is, and here's a funny part. Speaking of because cousin Prim, our cousin Bert, that's the wife, that was
Yeah.
Dad's cousin.
Okay.
Right, that wasn't his sister or brother, that was his cousin. So
Oh,
they
okay.
from a whole nother branch of QTs, a cousin branch of QTs of Dad.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, when we was at Israel Church of Jesus on Broadway at the first place we was on, it was I remember a couple of sisters that came in there, and I was talking to them and everything. They were real nice looking sisters, whatever. And they had left, and then Elijah was like, "Oh, he was like, so yeah, so you see one of your cousins came through." And I'm like, no, matter of fact, no, this is what happened. I was talking to them, you know, with us having, oh, I think I lost you. I get that's somebody else. Oh, I think I lost her. There she go.
Okay.
Oh,
I
back.
don't know.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, but I'm back.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yes, what I remember when every time there'd be a visit after class and I talked to them, I would tend to ask them if they know any QTs, you know, because we had so many damn cousins there.
Right.
It's like if you lived in Gary, Indiana, you had. Uh, I asked a sister there, and I remember she had made a face to me like she didn't understand like what I was saying or whatever, and so I just dropped it.
Uh-huh.
But then later on, Elijah would tell me, like a couple of weeks later, say, "Yes, well, you see, one of your cousins was here. That must be one of your cousins." I'm like, "Who are you talking about?" You're like, "Sister, you." Her name is LaShawn QT. I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, snap." So she must have thought I was asking her that because I knew that was her name. So anyway, so I will eventually meet her, and me and her got real close. I mean, we were real close, and I never knew her at all. But her dad name is Vince QT.
Okay.
Vince and cousin Bert, they're brothers and sisters. So they were our dad's cousins. but we never knew
Okay.
them the entire time that we would go to Gary. We never knew them at all. We didn't know them. So I met them by
Wow.
chance because she came to the class. So I thought that was really, really deep. And she
Okay.
would eventually,
I wonder why we didn't go over their house.
huh?
I said, I wonder why we never went over their house.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even think Dad ever referenced them or anything, you know, because they were just from
Mm-hmm.
from another branch. Like he knew cousin Bert because she was married to, you know, cousin Prim. So they were all Prims to us. They weren't QTs. Their last name was Prim. But
Yeah.
specifics of that, you know. But yeah, they and they lived in a nice part of Gary too, a
Yeah.
real nice part of Gary. But we didn't know nothing about them growing up. They didn't never come around when we had little gatherings or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, man. But that was just it was just deep though. But yeah. So anyway, so we started doing that class, and then that would be 99 when I would leave from there, and I would move to Atlanta, Georgia in 99. And all my four daughters born by then. I had four daughters. They were all born, and I would move to Atlanta, and that's when
Mm-hmm.
I started teaching. When I got to Atlanta, that's when I started teaching. So again, like I say, all that came from Alice Haley, man. Alice Haley opened my eyes, you know, understanding that it's more to who we are than just what we think we are as slaves here in America, whatever. So it's just amazing how the Father would use. So how did you get into it?
Um, I was somebody I met in Champaign had been going to IOG,
Okay.
and I was going to Sunday church, and I would be trying to tell him about Sunday church, and he was like, "That's fake." I was like, "Don't be talking about my pastor. My pastor,
So
he know the word."
so after you had, I guess after you kind of grew up and you weren't going to New Faith no more, you started
Yeah.
going to another church.
I went to several churches, but I didn't
Okay.
never stay. I never stayed in the church. And like, because I came to IOG in 2014.
Right.
So from 2011 to 2014, I was going to a Sunday church.
So when you was going there, though, it sounded like you was like really like serious about church
Yep,
then. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yep. We went every
Okay.
Sunday. We went every Bible study. I was in the choir. My daughter was in the choir. I had started bringing people to join the church and everything.
Wow. Now what church is
I was
this?
New Foundation.
That sounds
It's called New
familiar.
Foundation.
Where is
Down
it
in
at?
Champagne. In Champagne.
Oh, it's in Champagne. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I was living in Champagne then.
Right.
And I was going to that church. I liked it, the church and everything.
And how'd you end
And
up in
I
Champagne?
started I left Chicago and moved to Champagne.
Right.
When I left Chicago, I went to Champagne.
Why?
Um, at that time I started having my kids. And
Okay.
Chicago, my grandfather had moved out the house that we were living in. I was in Champagne visiting. When I came back, nobody lived there but the crackheads. I'm like, I'm not staying here. So my cousin that lived down in Champagne, she said, come on back down here then. Went and found my granddaddy. My granddaddy had moved out south. He said he just got tired of it because it was his son that had took over his house. So he had left his
Mm.
son and them in the house, and he moved out south. So I moved back to Champagne, and I stayed there, and then I moved to Omaha, Nebraska with my other cousin. Stayed down there, but came back to Chicago again. Stayed there for a little while, and then moved back to Champaign and never moved no more.
So you was there before Vicky and Sue was there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Sue came to stay with me. Sue came. I don't know how Sue wound up coming to stay with me. She came to visit, and she had just had her son, and she was like, "Well, I want to live down here." I was like, "Well, y'all can come live down here." I know she was gonna get a job and move out, so she did, her and her husband. And Vicky finally came. She finally had came, and she stayed, and now everybody here.
Wow.
But I left in 2014, no,
Uh-huh.
2015, and went to Texas. Stayed down there till 2018 and came back.
Yep.
So I'm good.
Wow. And they ain't
Yep.
never want to
So
move
I
back to
enjoyed.
Chicago, huh?
No, I ain't never going back there. They
Now,
ain't even
and your sister
Chicago
never
no
wanted
more.
to go back there either.
Nope. Nope.
Wow. I missed
Chicago
out
is
on
just
Champagne then,
Chicago is
boy.
terrible.
I
Huh?
said I missed out on Champagne and that must have had it going on down there.
Yep. Yep. It's pretty cool down here. It's quiet. It get busy.
Yeah.
They trying to get busy. But
Uh-huh.
these people down here don't play. They will take your behind to jail real quick and lose you in the
Mm.
system.
But the cost of living is still up there.
It's reasonable. It's reasonable.
Yeah.
So when I start
Wow.
coming to class, I started going to church on Sunday still and coming to class. And the first time I went, I just thought I was going there to visit. I was like, well, I'm only gonna come one time because I gotta be at my church. I ain't gonna be coming here. So I went
Now
there.
your friend still
There's like, you
paying?
got a scarf? Yeah. He asked me, he said, do you bring a scarf with you? I'm like, is y'all Muslims?
Right. Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm only going one time anyway. So I went to the store. I ain't even think about a scarf. I bought a do-rag. I'm like, I go in there in the bathroom and I pray before the class started and everything. Start watching Brother Bowie's first lesson was on tithes and offering.
Mm.
I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was a interest on tithes. It was a 5% interest. If you don't pay your tithe, you had to put 5% with that tithe. And I
Mm.
went to church that Sunday, and I told the deacon, I said, man, I went to this Bible study place. I said, do you know if you don't pay your tithes, you owe God 5% more? He was like, what? I was like, it's in the Bible. It was in the Bible. He said, I guess I don't know. I said, but I think what happened was that was your way of if you had, like, some people say, well, I had to use my tithes. I couldn't pay no tithe. So they would be okay. The pastor never told the people about paying 5% more.
Mm.
I was like, it's in the Bible. I saw it in the Bible. I said, but I guess the pastor don't say nothing because he was barely getting the tithe money. So if he can't
Right.
get the one tithe that you owe him, how you gonna get the 5%?
Wow.
So he was like, show it to me. So we sitting down and I was showing it to him in the book and everything. And then I asked him, I said, so Sunday is not the Sabbath? He was like, no. I said, I thought we've been coming to church on Sunday because it was the Sabbath. He said, no. He said, Saturday is the Sabbath.
Mm.
I said, well, why we come to church on Sunday? He said, I'm going to bring you a book and I'm going to let you read it and then we'll talk about it.
Mm.
So I'm just reading the book, found out the Sabbath was on Saturday.
Now, what book
About
is it?
Roman Emperor Constantine.
Wait, I lost you. Say it again.
Um Roman Emperor Constantine. I ain't know nothing about this stuff at all.
Right.
I came back to him. I said, Deke, I said, you know this stuff? He said, yeah. I said, well, why you ain't doing it? He just shook his shoulder like, I said, you know you're going to be held accountable for this. He just said, be quiet, Sister Wanda. I said, I'm serious. You knew this stuff. I didn't know this. You knew I was coming to church to get closer to God, but dang, you even got the book.
Right.
He was like, I said, okay, then you're going to be in trouble with God for this because you knew better. So he was like, so that Sunday, I said, I'm going to ask in front of everybody.
Uh-oh.
I said, because I wanna really hear this answer come out their mouth and see what the people in the church gonna say. Sunday school was always crowded. I was like, okay. So they always make that announcement. Anybody got something they want to ask before we close out? We don't want nobody feel like they can't ask nothing, because anything in the Lord's house, if we gonna answer it and we gonna give it to you straight from the book. I said, well, I have a question. She said, well, go ahead, Sister Wanda, ask it. I'm in my head, I'm praying before I open my mouth. I said, Lord, give me the right words to say. I said, I would like to know, why do we come to church on Sunday? She looked, the people at the church, they looking at me, they laughing. The woman, she's the teacher of the Sunday school class. She said, okay, well, we're going to leave this answer for this question for the head of this house. That's the right person to answer. Her husband stood up, which was the deacon that gave me the book about the Sabbath. He stood up and she was like, no, Deke, we're not going to answer that. We're going to let Pastor take care of that. I said, I don't have a respect of person. I said, I don't mind Deacon standing up telling me anything. I said, I have listened to him before and I would like to hear what Deacon got to. No, Deke. He said, no, I can answer it. He said, no, I can answer it. So I said, go ahead, Deke. Because I already knew, because he didn't already told me, but I wanted to see, was the people in the church listening? Everybody at Sunday school, but I want to see what was going on in the church. So Deacon said that Sunday was changed by Roman Emperor Constantine. He said due to the fact that he was going to, he was starting to take on the Christianity, and he was gonna, he made a decree, and he wanted everyone to start serving on Sunday instead of Saturday. And if you got caught keeping the Sabbath on Saturday, they killed you. You got killed. So you had to go
they
on
never
Sunday.
tell people that too.
Huh?
I said, do you know that they never tell people that?
No, because I wouldn't have never been.
People,
they don't even mention that.
But what they tell people is that Constantine was a faithful Christian, and for him to spread Christianity, he wanted to bring pagans into it, and that's why he changed the day. They lie with that, but that's what they be telling people.
And when he was telling it, and then I said, so God never changed the Sabbath. He said, no, Roman Emperor Constantine changed the Sabbath. I said, so are we obeying a man and not God? He said, yes. I said, well, thank you, Deacon. And that was probably the last Sunday I went there.
Wow.
I just said, nope. I told the deacon, I said, you're going to be held accountable because you knew that you wasn't serving God. I did not know. I thought we were in here for the Sabbath. He's like, He just shook his shoulder. I said, okay, he heard you.
Wow.
And then they started telling people I was a Muslim. The people at the church said I hurt the pastor because I stopped coming to the church. They was like, would you just call him? Would you just call him? I was like, no. Mm-mm. I said, and another thing happened before this incident had happened. I was upstairs in the office with him. And I mean, that whole day, people kept coming to say, Pastor wants you, Pastor wants you, Pastor wants you. I finally went to go see what the pastor wanted. He said, is there a problem? I was like, what? He says, is there a problem? I said, no, it's not no problem. He said, do we need to talk? I was like, yeah, we do need to talk. So he said, well, go ahead. I said, no, let's just go in your office. Because I didn't want to talk in the middle of the floor and everybody be listening. I wanted to tell him that I was leaving the church. So we sat down in the office and he said, I said, well, Pastor, I said, it's not that I'm leaving your church because I want to go to another church or anything. I said, I just feel like the Lord is telling me I need to step down and sit down and read the Bible for myself. He said, huh? He said, the Lord wouldn't have you to leave the church. I said, well, it's just, I'm getting confused here. He said, wait a minute, what are you saying? I said, well, what I read in the Bible, I have not heard in the church. I said, and what I've heard in the church, I have not read in the Bible. So I don't know what's going on. I said, when I was reading the Bible, when I first came to the church, I started reading the Bible. The Bible you gave me. I said, I was scared. I was scared of God. I said, because he just was talking like he was a gangster. I said, I'm scared of him. I said, right. I told y'all that. I said, he would say something in the Bible, and it was like he said it, and he meant it, and if you didn't do it, he killed you. I said, he didn't play no games. He was like, well, Sister Wanda, he don't want you to be scared of him like that. I said, well, that's how I was scared, because I closed the Bible. I was like, I can't read this no more. And they watered that down. They watered that feeling down. I was not scared no more. And it made me feel like everything good, nothing bad. God don't do bad. I never heard nothing about I do this and I do that and I create evil. I was like, oh wow, wait a minute.
Right.
He loved Jacob and hated Esau because they said God loved everybody. Oh no, he don't. I start hearing stuff at IOG, listen to Brother Bowie, listen to them lessons, the Big Switch, that lesson called the Big Switch. I love that lesson.
Right. So, but you know, he didn't used to teach about tithing though. I remember when he started teaching about tithing, he didn't used to teach that. It was when he built the meat house. After the meat house came up there, then he started teaching about tithing.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't used to teach about tithing. I remember the first time he taught, he said, I done y'all a disservice because I ain't been teaching y'all about this, but I need to teach y'all about this because, I remember when he started teaching about that. But that, you know what, when you had mentioned, though, about the Muslim thing, you remember Taff and Travis?
Yeah.
Right. Because, they were like, I used to hang out with them like every day, kind of, when I used to be doing the guitar thing. Right. And so I forgot to mention that when I left New Faith, them two, they were the ones telling everybody that I was a Muslim. They were the ones telling everybody that I'm a Muslim now. They was telling everybody that. And it's one brother named Joe. He started coming to the class. We knew him as Kenny, then he changed his name to Joe. I think he's in Minnesota now. But anyway, he started coming, so we'd be hanging out every day. And he happened to live about 3 houses on the same block as Taff. With me going to Israel, I didn't really hang out with them no more like that. And so one time when I was at Joe, I said, man, like my boys, they live right down the street here. And I ain't talked to them in a long time. So me and him, we walked over there to their house, and both of them happened to be home, Travis and Ty. And they was still teasing me then, like, you the Muslim, whatever. And so then we went down and about the word there. Now, because they was going to Israel of God, right?
See, I don't know them from
right. That's right. Oh, you don't know that. That's right. From Kenny, because they weren't gonna listen to me.
Only person I know at Israel of God. Only person I know at Israel of God from New Faith was Wayne. Right,
Wayne. Well, yeah. So you didn't know that, but oh man, Taff and when Kenny started talking to them, because they wouldn't listen to me, but it took them to listen to my friend Kenny, and they started hearing, and they started coming to class. They both were coming to New Faith. To Israel of God all the time. They were teasing me, calling me a Muslim, but now they listen to Kenny. Now they started coming to class. And everybody at Israel of God, they know them. They know Taff and Travis.
Oh wow!
But see, you don't know what happened was that man, Taff, he's the oldest brother. You remember? He ended up having a murder case with. So I think he's serving time to this day. And Travis, he ended up dying, or he died of some disease or whatever.
Wow.
But if you ask, but if you ask anybody that's been around in ILG for a long time, they all know Taff and Travis. They would come to class every Shabbat.
Wow. Yep. So then at the church, the Sunday church, after Brother Bowie had did the dietary law, so I started learning about the dietary law. We would have food at church. I'm like, what's that? I started asking questions about the food. Then I'm like, well, that's pork. They's like, yeah, this pork and this and that. I was like, okay, we don't eat pork. We don't eat pork. I started telling them every time we would eat there, I'd be like, what's this? Now I make sure my daughter, she knew. I said, you ask them what it is. Don't you eat nothing. If they got meat on that table, you always ask. She was like 4 or 5 then. No, she was about 5 or 6. Yeah, I give her 5 or 6. And she went to the kitchen before I went in the kitchen, and they were selling Polishes and chips in the pot. So she in the kitchen and she asking them, what's that? What is that? She says, that pork? They was like, hold on, Naya, hold on, let us ask them. So they went over there to the stove. They was like, are these pork? And they was like, yeah, them pork. She said, yeah, that's pork, Naya. Naya turned around and said, oh, we don't eat pork. We don't eat pork because God said he will kill you if you eat the pork. I was like, what? The girl said, sister, will you get Naya out the kitchen? She in here talking about y'all don't eat pork. I said, oh, no, we don't eat pork. We don't eat any pork. I said, that's against the dietary law. That's like, what? I said, the Lord told us we can't eat pork, the swine or any of that. And she was like, well, ain't nothing wrong with no pork. That's in the Old Testament, and we don't go by the Old Testament. I was like, okay, well, we just don't eat it. Come on in here. Ooh, it's cold out there. Ooh. Y'all running around like y'all lost your mind. I was like, nah, we don't eat pork. I said, it's a law against eating pork. And they went back and told the pastor that I said that. I said it's in the Bible that we cannot eat pork. And they told the pastor. The pastor was pissed. He was pissed then. He came out, he was in the pulpit, and he was like, he was talking about the remember when Peter was asleep and the Lord brought that unclean animal down.
Uh-huh.
And that's what he used. And at that time, see, I still didn't know nothing about the dietary law. I had just started learning about it, And he said he used that scripture and he was like, clapping. Everything is clean. God said, don't call nothing, nothing uncommon and unclean. See, I didn't know that was when he was going to bring the Gentiles in.
Right.
He tried, he took that scripture and said the Lord was saying that he can eat pork.
Right.
He can eat anything. So the man that started telling me about the Sabbath, he turned around, looked at me, and he's like, see, I told you. I said, that is not true.
Wait, hold on, Wanda. Hold on 1 second. There you go. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to get a charger because my phone about to go out. Broadcast. It's all chase cars, not wild geese. And now you're chasing me. Okay, that works. Bring it back. Okay, let me see. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yes, yeah. Okay, I must have lost it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I finally got on my Wi-Fi too, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, it should be
Yeah.
back.
So when we was just telling them about the dietary law, and when Brother Bowie the following week, Brother Bowie had did the lesson about the dietary law, and he had read off in Leviticus chapter 11.
Mm-hmm.
And the deacons like, he wasn't talking about us. That was back then. That wasn't now. I was like, okay, well, show me where it changed that. He was like, Sister Wanda, you have to let the pastor teach. You are not anointed. He is anointed.
Mm.
I said, the books say, thou shalt not eat them. He never said, eat that. He told Peter to go with the Gentile because he was bringing the Gentiles into the word, into the truth. I was like, he said,
Mm-hmm.
call, that's when he told him, call no man. He didn't say no food. He said, no man, common or unclean.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he went and told, the pastor was upset because they be eating all that pork and cooking on Sunday. I'm like, so when do y'all not cook? Because if you keeping, they're not even supposed to be cooking. They was like, don't bring that doctrine up in here. I was like, okay.
Mm.
They didn't want to hear that. So I
Right.
was like, okay, we just gonna keep it. We gonna keep not eating that pork. That's what we gonna keep doing.
Uh-huh.
I left that alone, and then once I went to the church and I started seeing, man, it felt like we were strangers. It just felt like we were. You know that movie They Live
See, I don't know if I heard of that movie before.
with Ronnie Pipe,
You say it's called
and he had the
They Live?
glasses. Yeah, and he had the glasses on, and every time he take the glasses off, he saw the aliens.
No, I ain't never seen that one before.
You're gonna have to watch it, Vic. I'm telling you,
Okay.
that's just how I feel being in the truth.
Oh,
You go
yeah.
to the church and you feel like you a stranger. But in reality, we all look like we on the same thing because we all supposed to be there to, I mean, you know, get our worship on. But then when you read the Bible and then you hear them in the church, you be like, what?
Right.
Oh no, wait a minute. Where that's at? So when I told the pastor, he said, "Are you saying I'm not teaching the people the word of God?" I said, "I'm just saying I don't read it in the Bible." That's what I'm saying. I said, so what are you saying that I'm teaching them? I said, well, okay. I said, what about this? I said, y'all say Jesus died on Friday and rose on Sunday. And he said the Bible say he gonna be in the heart of the ground 3 nights, 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get 3 nights and 3 days from Friday to Sunday? He said, Sister Wanda, Sister, you know one thing? He rose. I said, but then that's not the God of the Bible.
Right.
We know he rose, but you telling people this, and this is what we going back. We hearing you say Jesus died on Friday and rose on Sunday, early Sunday morning. And Jesus said, and then in the Bible, he said, if they come preaching another Jesus, this is another Jesus. This, I said, so it's like I don't want to be here and receiving the word, and then I go home and I'm reading the Bible, and this don't match up.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm gonna have to. He said, we really need to talk. We really need to talk. I was like, well, like I said, if he leads me back here, I'll come back. I'll come back.
Right.
I said, but if not, I'm gonna continue reading my Bible. So I didn't go back to the church.
Wow.
And when you think about it, it was a lot of stuff that the lesson, the big switch has started clicking. It just started clicking like,
right.
Man, what? How did that get past me? How did I allow that person to tell me that? And that don't even make sense. I thought people were in heaven. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not what the words say. This is not what the words say. Your loved ones looking down, smiling on you and all that.
Right.
I just was like, wow.
Yep.
You feel deceived. When you
Right.
start reading the book, you feel deceived.
Mm-hmm. And see, when the Father tells us that we need to have a perfect heart before Him,
Mm-hmm.
other people will read the exact same thing you read, or like when you tell them stuff, and they'll be like, when they disregard it, that means their heart ain't right. You know,
Yep.
when you hear truth and you read it, you ain't supposed to disregard it just because some man told you this or some church. You supposed to, read, search it if it's right or if it's incorrect. Well, Wait, hold on 1 second. Is it still warm? Did you eat anything? Oh, okay. Yeah, man, but that's real interesting. No, that's really interesting. Wow.
Yep. But like I say, you just still learning as we go.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like just like me being a Moreh, being a teacher, I teach a lesson I done taught 3 or 4 times. I'm still learning something every time I'm teaching the same lesson. Still learning stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, brother,
But
let me
that
call you back. I'm gonna have to call you back.
okay, yeah, you know what? My phone is about to die anyway. But I'm so glad we did this live, man. 'Cause I love to go back and see this again, man. This is good.
Yep, it was.
Nope.
All right. Happy
All right.
Sabbath.
Yeah, bless Shabbat to you. And I look forward to us doing this again.
All right. Bye, sis.
All right.